Good morning. This is Ann Diener. Over the last 3 years, actually since the election of 2016, since pre-2016, I've been working for free and fair elections in the United States of America, where every single voter's vote counts, where each person goes to the polls and has an equal chance of participating, as well as where each and every candidate has an equal chance at running for the office of the president. Um, Donald Trump is deposed by deposition, and he did steal election 2016, and that was known by many people back when 2016, before he was seated. Actually, many people actually knew that 2016 was stolen through cross-check. There was a huge campaign. Trump stole it. And that was basically the purging of down ballot voters, and it was also found that the voting machines were hacked. And in Russia, they arrested the hackers back then that were tied in with Humpty Dumpty. And that was an advanced group that hacked in the back ends of the voting machines. And I have exit polling data. I spent 6 or 7 long days, 16 hours a day, tabulating the exit polling in the states of Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. And it found that in those states they reported overvoting, and far fewer people showed up for the polls. And so basically the machines were hacked back then in the swing states, and we want to prevent that from happening this time. Also back then the voters were purged, as I've explained on numerous videos. Basically those individuals who were showing up to vote for down ballot candidates, or not the selected one, the one that individuals have selected as the winner, were purged off the voter rolls and told, I'm sorry, you're no longer listed. And they were forced to vote provisionally. And so, and then also micro-targeting continues in the background, targeting minority candidates and candidates who are really open constitutionally to work for the American voter. And micro-targeting is very sophisticated. It started back in 2016. That was really when the most powerful use of micro-targeting was through Cambridge Analytica, an SCL that was located in Russia back then. And I tracked it down to Renaissance Technologies, and they've also been the ones that are harmful, and they're harmfully involved in, even, from my understanding, I suspect they're involved in counterfeiting. Because basically our currency is solid. We have our U.S. gold standard, and our money back is the Department of Justice. But who knows what that's being used for? We own our planet outright, but the most important thing is that American citizens vote. And it was found out, I turned in Robert Mueller, and I informed people about that. I'm nonpartisan, and when 2018 was stolen, I reported how the ballots were stolen. They were stolen to conduct the land grab, which was the same testimony I provided my testimony against. And it was sophisticated. They actually picked up ballots, though. They physically, from my understanding, went door to door, and numerous people actually reported people that had stolen ballots, like physically stolen mail ballots. And then here they were set to use, again, programmers and theft of ballots. And it is a 5-year felony to steal a mail ballot. I work the elections, and that's why voting rights and elections are top priority for me. And so I called the Office of Disciplinary Counsel, because it seemed like in a letter they wrote back to me that they were concerned I was a political person seeking to gain against individuals. 2016 was equally stolen. It was stolen by Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Clinton stole the primary from Bernie Sanders using the superdelegates, but more powerfully than that, back during the 2016 primary, the DNC sent emails out, and this I suspect ties in with Robert Mercer and micro-targeting, is they gathered the Sanders supporters and directed them to the wrong polls. Meaning that 6 to 8 Sanders voters per precinct likely showed up at a place where they could not vote, and not knowing where to vote back then, they may have gone straight home and not voted. So we've had issues, and that should be considered vote theft. it's clear that they wanted to dissuade Sanders voters back then. And Sanders represents a popularistic candidate. He is a person who works for the voter, just as Justin Amash does. And these individuals, those candidates, need your support this election. We need real candidates that work for the voter. And we need Congress to have the subpoena power to guarantee American citizens real elections. There was something recently where the shadow electors finally won't stand, and that's been the tipping point of the Supreme Court, is that they had shadow electors in there that could turn the election in their favor, despite us having elected a real candidate. I suspect that's how Donald Trump got in, was with the shadow electors, and the Electoral College voted for Trump instead of Clinton. Meanwhile, she had the Electoral College delegates ready to vote for her. So it's time to actually make sure that our states are actually sending the real delegates, which they are, hopefully, for this 2020, and that the shadow electors are gone, and that the American voters are not micro-targeted, that they are not purged from the ballot, and that our independent candidates, the Green Party candidates, the Justin Amash's, the Bernie Sanders, have a chance still to win, because this election is not over. It is 2020, and it is campaign season. Sanders may have pulled out, but he can easily run as a Green and take over the race. I believe in free and fair elections, and in that way I am nonpartisan. I believe in Bernie Sanders as a popularist candidate who was shortchanged by Hillary Clinton and by others, and I believe many candidates have been. Back during 2018, a lot of candidates were shortchanged by a Mitch McConnell list. Who has the right to subpoena those individuals who partook in the list? Is there a list ongoing in our background right now that's going to designate and select who wins? That is illegal in my opinion, and we need full disclosure on our elections. If the Office of Disciplinary Counsel cannot subpoena those witnesses involved in election tampering and in harming our elections, basically stealing our elections away from the American voter, we need Congress to mandate a full investigation into our elections. That was guaranteed by Robert Mueller, according to the media, back when he started. But it turned out it was more of a fraud investigation that he started. He had, in my opinion, he was hired by Trump, and so they weren't prepared to actually really bring those election convictions out. And he always refers to them as those election convictions. Election convictions are neutral. They are not political or partisan. Election convictions are for the voter. And that's what we depend on in this country. We need a group of congressional members to support subpoenaing every single one involved in election tampering. Tampering the voting machines, creating software, making our voting not count, tampering with the results, hacking, all of that. Purging our rosters, putting the bubbles on the rosters so that certain ballots can be discounted and padded to the other side. All of those convictions should go through against our election before 2020. We have to demand as voters our real voting rights back. Our voting rights count. They determine who makes our policy every day. In that way, it's completely nonpartisan. Republicans are hurting in the Midwest, and everyone's wondering, is Barack Obama going to steal the election? Was Donald Trump really paid not to run? If so, why was he paid not to run? Isn't there another Republican who could have run? And all of these questions regarding the 2020 election, we have our gold standard and our money back to deliver. We need it to deliver a real clean election this 2020. And that's something I stand up for nonpartisanly. I support Justin Amash. I support down ballot candidates, because those are the ones with the heart to fight every single day for your ballots to count, and we need congressional members to fight right along and force subpoena power on who set up our elections 2016, 2018, and now 2020. Have a good day.